Hey guys, is anyone there? Okay, this is the first time I'm doing this, so if you could send me some kind of sign that you hear, that would be great. Let's see if there is a way to live chat. Okay. All right, so I should be able to see some people in here. Oh, Donna, hi. All right, so we have one person. Could you, if someone else is there, could you check in with me? I did see a couple of sign in through Eventbrite, and I don't want to start before I can see that the people is there. It's 6:30, 6:31. So some of you guys might be running a little late. Can you hear me, Donna? I hope my volume is up. Okay. Yes, hear you fine. All right, so we're gonna start. And if when someone is joined, just say hello to me. Maybe send me a smiley face or something like that. Huh. Okay, again, this is the first lecture. I have done some classes online, but that's a little different when you move than when you just talk. Okay, so how do we cope, and what is really happening? How that affects our life, and what kind of situation we finding ourselves in, and really how can we deal with this? What is happening in our brain when we feel this insecurity, this anxiety, this ambiguity, when things are just not as they used to be, and we got pushed out of our comfort zone pretty bad. At least I did. Business had to stop. We don't know, we don't have proper information, and kind of hard to deal with ourselves on a daily basis, and definitely hard to deal with the outside world. Now, I've been studying the brain for a while, so I'm just going to go to the brain right away. What is happening in the brain and how does our brain works? I do have my iPad with me because I could not figure out how to share information on on Skype yet. So I just want to show you some pictures that I will be able to pull up. So this is our brain. And we do have an amazing structure in there. We can see the front part of the brain right in here. And this long, elongated structure in here, that is our brainstem. And that is the area where our basic functions live. This is where what we would call the red brain, the brain that reacts to everything, the brain where heart rate, breathing, everything that we need for survival is controlled. Now, this is the brain that is usually driving our every single action for survival. The other part of the brain, the front part of the brain, right in here, that developed much, much later and is much more sophisticated. That is the part of the brain that makes executive decisions. And How we feel is actually balance. It is a balance or imbalance, what is happening, how these two areas of the brain talking to each other. As I mentioned, the oldest part of the brain, the red brain, is very, very strong. It programmed to make us survive at any cost. It doesn't matter what it cost. It doesn't matter if it cost us pain, injuries. The point is, the really strong point is, keep me alive right here, right now. It doesn't matter how I feel tomorrow, doesn't matter what I eat tomorrow, doesn't matter what happens tomorrow with my chronic pain. Right now, I need to survive. And that area of the brain is our brainstem. The other area, the cognitive part, the frontal lobe, is the area that helps to make us human. So how these two parts of the brain communicate? They communicate through a lot of different sensory input. What happens around the world is actually affect all of our senses. And there is a new word that you guys are going to be hearing much more often in the nearest future, is called interoception. And what it means, it means how we sense the world from the inside out. And what helps us to sense the world properly around us and make executive decisions about about that information is a lot of different information that comes into the brain. Let's see. So I think I should show you this chart, what I would like to talk a little bit about. So this is our body, this is our brain, this is how we feel. And as you can see, there are a couple of different pillars or squares right now that I put together. And if you leave me your email address, I can send these to you. I did not figure out how to do that yet. So the main thing I'd like you to focus on right now is, let's name them all, and then we go through some of them a little more detail than the other one. Mindfulness, movement, breathing, sleep, nutrition, and sensory awareness. And let's just start with a little bit of mindfulness, because mindfulness is a word that we usually throw around. We used to throw around very easily. Be mindful of this, be mindful of that. And we just got used to using that word so much that it really didn't mean anything anymore. And I think now what has been happening, it actually started to bring a little more attention to the meaning of true mindfulness. First of all, don't touch your face. How mindful we are about that. I realize that how many times in 1 minute I am touching my face, my eyes, moving my hair back. And now that we can't do that, we really, really need to pay attention to stop that movement that is so voluntarily controlled by that part of the brain, the older part of the brain, that doesn't have to think anymore. It just does things as a habit. So again, mindfulness, awareness, knowledge, and bringing all of these information into our brain and let the brain work around it, what is important, what is not, and then create an output is going to make us feel the way we feel. So mindfulness is quite important. We have about 70,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are subconscious, and obviously the conscious mind is operating on the subconscious level. So how can we how can we be aware of what is happening? How can we create a better mindfulness? How can we be better aware? The second little part on the chart that you saw is it was breathing. It was about our breath, and without a well-established breathing routine, we cannot really be mindful. So most of us take breathing for granted because we breathe even if we don't pay attention to it. However, when we don't realize that we can create calm, we can create excitement, we can create balance through with different breathing practices, we just kind of go on an autopilot and create certain breathing habits that can impede it. There is a word in English that can inhibit our mindfulness. So there are about 500 or even more breathing techniques out there, and I'm not going to go through all of them because we don't want to be here for 3 months, although we might be. So the main thing with the breath is two different things. Do I breathe through my mouth or do I breathe through my nose? And this is going to create a huge base setup how our body and how our brain works. When we breathe through the nose, we activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our calm and balance and homeostasis. When we breathe through the mouth, every single time, we activate the part of the nervous system that is the sympathetic nervous system, which is a fight or flight nervous system. That is our stress nervous system. That is our anxiety. That is our go, 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 go. That is our I have to keep pushing. That is the nervous system that helps to save ourselves from a bus that is going through a red light and you need to step back. That is the part of the nervous system that helps us to achieve our goals. So we don't necessarily want to level or kill that part of the nervous system because we do need it for basic survival. But what we need to realize is that we need to get a conscious control on how well we can balance the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system by breathing. So most of us think that we do breathe through the nose. And for a very long time, I thought so that I take every breath, at least at night, through my nose. However, I'm a teacher, I'm a therapist, I do talk all day long. And even if you pay attention and be aware next time you talk to your friends, just notice that before you make a statement, before you start saying something, what is the first thing that we do? Take a huge breath through the mouth. And with that, we just upregulated the sympathetic nervous system. Now, if we get a hold of us and we realize that we just did that, for the next few minutes, maybe we could start talking in a way that while I'm talking, I'm exhaling through my mouth. But when I'm finishing a sentence, I pause and take a breath through the nose so I can keep talking and breathe out through the mouth. So the homework for you tonight will be to chat with your spouse, your partner, your friends, even on the phone if you don't have anybody at home. And for about 2 or 3 minutes, really pay attention to, do you breathe through the nose before you make a statement, before you speak? Now, there are other ramifications for breathing through the mouth. And I do have a chart for that on my iPad. I would like to show you that. Okay. Bear with me in here. All right. So, not sure how well this is going to show. I'm just going to talk you through that. So, breathing through the mouth is going to affect our nervous system, and is also going to affect our blood acidity. It's going to make the blood more acid on a constant basis. And you probably know, you're familiar with when the blood is a little more acidic than it should be, it actually creates changes in our hormonal systems. You might not be aware that it also creates change in brain function and in brain chemistry, and that what makes the hormones change. So, what kind of hormonal changes we're looking at in here? We're looking at the digestive hormones. So, when the blood is more acid in a prolonged period of time, the digestion system starts shutting down. Shutting down, the metabolism is slowing down, so weight management is going to be much harder, and controlling the weight is going to be much, much harder. Let's say you exercise and you eat in all the right things and you still have trouble losing weight. You might want to check on and make sure that you constantly breathe through your nose. You breathe through the nose at night when your body is resting, and when is really important to recover at a cellular level. And if that is not the case, I do have a little technique for you to learn how to breathe through the nose at night. What other hormonal function will be compromised when we breathe through the mouth? Well, think about the adrenal glands. When we constantly breathe through the mouth, we keep the adrenal glands in a really high gear, and they keep working, 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 working. And I'm sure you all heard about the adrenal fatigue. And we just overtire those two adrenal glands. We do create um, a constant override for them, and they never get a rest. And when you're fatigued, you not only your body is fatigued, but also your mind. You can't focus, you feel foggy, you might have these constant tiredness, um, maybe those early afternoon, late afternoon. You just want to have more coffee, but even if you grab a coffee, it doesn't help, because even if you have that quick pickup, the adrenal glands are so tired that they cannot actually recover just from that boost of caffeine. What else is happening when we keep running the sympathetic nervous system so high? It affects reproduction, not only females, but also males. And I do see that in a lot of millennials, 30s, mid 30s ladies and guys and couples who cannot get pregnant. They stress level, they really stressed out for work. They on a constant go. They work out 6 days a week. By the way, working out is a sympathetic response, sympathetic nervous system activity, as it should be. So yes, let's say we go to the gym for an hour and we get all hyped up and we really release those hormones to feel good. But can we shut off the sympathetic nervous system and find a balance to go back to the parasympathetic and start to make change in blood pH by breathing through the mouth, through the nose, sorry, my bad. So reproduction goes down. What other ramifications are there if we keep breathing through the mouth? Well, when we bathe the whole body, muscles, cells, ligaments, tendons in an acidic environment, everything is going to get tighter. So muscles going to tighten up, and you can keep doing all the stretching that you're doing. Your muscles will be still short. Your fascia will tighten up. So injury risk is going to go higher. Also, pain tolerance is going to go lower, because when everything is in an acid environment, the chemical receptors that sense discomfort, they get a little extra woo, and they talk a little louder. So we will be feeling sensations much more, and not just talking about pain sensation, but anxiety, fear, unsteadiness, um, those are the sensations that will arise. Um, and there was one more thing I was going to say, but I think I'm just going to have to come back to that. So the bottom line is to try to learn how to breathe through the nose. And you don't have to have a special tape. You could just have a band-aid. And it's a really, really nice way to do this at night. You close your mouth, very simple. If you're not sure, if you're snoring, if you wake up with a dry mouth, if you constantly have a post-nasal drip, those are all signs that you are actually breathing through the mouth when you sleep. You just don't know. So give it a try. You could also try to tape your mouth during the day. Maybe for a couple of minutes, you close your office door or you close your bedroom door, living room door, if you don't want to do it in front of your partner, and just tape your mouth. And then notice what the whole body is going to start feeling um, when you create this different um, flow of oxygen, when the nose is able to filter through the air. And nowadays, let's just say it, that we all should be breathing through the nose, because the nose is a natural filtering system. Yes, things are still get through, but not as much that they get through the mouth. The inner nose lining is actually helping to filter the air and kill bacteria and viruses. I'm not saying that corona could be prevented by breathing through the nose completely. What I'm saying is that you give yourself a much better chance if you know how to nose breathe all the time. Oh, this is what I forgot. When the blood pH is higher, the inflammatory response, inflammation goes up in the body. And we all know that when the inflammation is circulating a little higher, that is creating higher risk, not only for other inflammation, but also for diseases, cancer, and all other neurological diseases. High inflammation in the brain, because when there is inflammation in the body, is not only in the body, it also goes into the brain through the circulation of the blood and through other sources. So high inflammation in the brain, it creates all the neurological diseases that we are really afraid of: dementia, Alzheimer, Parkinson's, MS, and I could keep going on, but I think I don't want to scare you off. So did you see that? I just took a huge breath through my mouth, and I should know better. And the reason that I do tape constantly every night, because sometimes during the day I don't have the luxury, or I'm lazy when I'm with clients. No, not lazy, just I really don't have the luxury to constantly check myself how I breathe. Maybe between clients I have a few minutes and I can reset my body, but when I'm working with people, they are my priority. So what I do during the day, I have to undo and make it better during the night. Here we go again. So that was two little brackets, mindfulness and breathing. If we can master the breath, we can control the mind much better, and we also can command the body much better. So the next thing I would like to down a little bit is nutrition. I'm not going to give you a full lecture of nutrition. What do you need to eat? What you don't need to eat? We did tag a little bit on how breathing affect weight management. And what I would like to say it is that obviously portion control. And There are a lot of different diets outside. I don't know if you're vegetarian, vegan, we all have our own thing. But nutrition comes back to awareness again. Sometimes we develop allergies for different food, one particular food, any two particular foods, more foods or less food. And we get to a certain age and we say, how this happened? I have never had allergies in my life, food allergies. I could eat these strawberries throughout my life and now I can't have it. Or I could have a cappuccino throughout my life and now I'm lactose intolerant suddenly. So let's go back to awareness a little bit. I used to love cappuccino. I used to live in Italy, and all you do in Italy is having a cappuccino. Well, now I'm not sure if the bars are open to grab a cappuccino, but you know what I'm saying. So, whenever I had a cappuccino, every time, of course, I enjoyed it, and I just started to feel a little bit of, my stomach started to feeling a little more, not bloated, but more of a little bigger. And but obviously, I'd never, for a few until a few years ago, I have never connected the two. So yeah, a little uncomfortable. Had to run to the bathroom once a while. Little distension in the belly, and gradually it started to build up that certain things that contains lactose, like chocolate, some of the chocolate, I actually didn't feel or got some hives on my skin when I had them. And I got the guts, got tested, and here I am, lactose intolerant. So, getting intolerant in something, it is a result of having allergies to that particular food or food particle. And the allergies are a result of being sensitive to some kind of food that we never really acknowledged or assessed or paid attention to, that we are having some kind of response, because the body does respond right away. Right away, the nervous system will tell you as soon as you put something in your mouth, it is a good thing for me or it is not a good thing for me. And if I don't have a full body awareness, which I would like to think I do, and I teach that, maybe I consciously or subconsciously ignored the sensation after the cappuccino because I just felt that this is what I needed at that point. And here we come with the what I need, what I think I need, and what my body really, really needs. Think about it now. They said, no going out to the grocery store. Everybody stocked up the fridge and the freezer and the pantry. And you have to stay home all day long. And you open the fridge and there is so much food. And you keep thinking, oh, I should be eating all this because it's going to go wrong because it's there already. So ask yourself this question: am I really hungry? Did I get to go outside today and move a little bit, or did I move a little bit inside, or did I just sit on the couch? How much calories did I really burn? Am I just telling myself that I'm hungry, or there is some kind of food in the fridge that I really like and it gives me an immediate satisfaction and I'm just going to eat that? Or my body is really hungry. Food is fuel and, excuse me, and this energy. And that's how we build our body and our brain. And the big secret in here is that we don't actually eat for the body, we eat for the brain. So we have this body and we have this brain, which is this big, depending on the size of your skull, 2, 3, 4 pounds, that thing inside the skull, and it takes up 30 to 40% of the calories that we eat, that we gain from food, just to make the brain work. So between the nutrients from the food, between the oxygen and carbon dioxide ratio from our breathing, we can create a better or a worse functioning brain. And one more thing, I mentioned sensory awareness. And when I talk about senses, I'm talking about our eyes, our ears, our balance system in the ears, our skin, touch, our taste, and our smell. And let's go back to awareness is called sensory awareness. Think about, when was the last time that you consciously paid attention to the bite that you took? You took a bite from your food and you started to think, let's see, how easy is this to chew? Where do I feel the taste? Do I feel it in the front of the tip of the tongue, in the back, in the side? What this food taste to me? And what does that taste make me feel like throughout my whole body? Now, I have to tell you, I don't have, well, I do that maybe once a while. Now I'm a little more conscious, but I have not done it for a very long time. I used to just shove the food in on the go. And when I'm eating, I'm on my cell phone returning some text or emails to clients or scheduling clients. And I don't want to be generalizing, but I think we all do that. So paying attention to how we chew, for example, what side you chew your food on. Well, now I know I chew on the left because a few years ago I started to pay attention. But if you ask the question 2 years ago, I would have just smiled and say, I don't know. Or I would have to literally actually chew to figure out. So that is awareness. When was the last time we consciously smelled something? Like literally bring that something to your nose and say, oh, what does this smells like? Or close your eyes and try to recognize a smell other than coffee. If you're a coffee person, I am. So all the senses, how well they work, they all contribute to this summary of sensory awareness. And the better these senses are, the better we can sense the world from the inside out, and the better we can react to this, to the whole world. And I'm not only talking about movement-wise, I'm only talking about emotionally. So I did show you the brain. We're going to jump back to the brain a little bit. I did show you a picture of the brain before. Let's see if I can find it again. Okay, so this is a different one. Maybe you can see this a little better. All right. So you see, there is the front of the brain right here. That's your executive decision maker. That's your CEO. The part that is reacting to everything. Oop. Okay, let's try that again. Let's see. Okay, let's see if I can do that. All right. Okay, I got this. So this part in here, maybe I didn't. It keeps coming back to this chart. Maybe that chart is important. So this part that you can see in here, almost blue, that is the part that is the reactive part of the body, that the brain, that's your brainstem. This little thing hanging back in here, that is your cerebellum, that is responsible for balance, not only for physical balance, but throughout several nerve connection is actually connected to the front of the brain. So it is also responsible for emotional and cognitive balance. Let's look at these structures right in the middle between the old brain, the red brain, and the executive brain. And that is our limbic system. And here we go with the limbic system. So you probably heard about the limbic system. That is our emotional control. And there are two structures in the limbic system that I would like to mention. One of them is called the thalamus, and that is kind of a gatekeeper. All that sensory information that we receive, what I just mentioned, smell, auditory, taste, hearing, all those information goes through that basic part of the brain, the old brain, gets up to the thalamus, and this guy is going to decide, is this an important information? Shall I get it through so it can get to the smart part of the brain, the CEO, and it can make a decision about how to react to this sensory information? Or if it's not an important information, the thalamus is just going to discard that info, saying that, oh, this is not an important information. And how does it decide if it's important or not important? It decides if it's a survival, if it's important for survival. If this is a life-threatening information, it will let it up to the frontal lobe, because the frontal lobe, your CEO of the brain, needs to make a decision about how to act about something that creates a huge threat for us. There is another part in this limbic system that is very important, and that is called your amygdala. And this is a little gland too, because we have one on each side in the back of the head, kind of in the middle. And if I just say amygdala, it probably doesn't say anything, but this is the part that reacts to everything without thinking. So let's say someone cut you off on the highway, really, really bad, and you barely manage to step on your brakes and stop without hitting the guy, the other driver or lady. And what is your first reaction do is probably going to swear, maybe give a finger, something really, really emotionally reactive. And that is your amygdala reacting, because the threat was so high that information that you just saw, it did not have time to go up to the frontal lobe to make a decision. Because if you delay that information, if you delay the response to that information, you would not have put your foot on the brake, and you would not have been able to stop. You would have hit that guy who cut you off. Now, this amygdala doesn't really know if that threat is an emotional threat, a physical threat, or a cognitive threat. And when I'm talking about threat, physical threat, that was a physical threat, an accident. What could be an emotional threat? Well, think about what's happening now. We are confined to our homes. How does that create, or what kind of sensation that creates? It creates an ambiguity, because we don't know, and not knowing puts the brain into this limbo where it doesn't know how to act. Am I in danger? Well, I'm in my own home, I'm eating my own food, and I'm really obeying all the rules. I'm not going out. I am not in danger. So the smart part of the brain says, okay, I'm good. And then you turn on the news, and then you hear the latest news, and you go, oh, shoot, of course I'm in danger. This virus is everywhere. So there is this constant conversation by gathering all the information from the environment, not just through what we hear, but what we see outside. No one is going anywhere, no people on the road. And that is enough to create an imbalance between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. And remember, the sympathetic is the one that is the fight or flight. The parasympathetic is the one that is the homeostasis. Well, guess what happened when the sympathetic is constantly higher than the parasympathetic. Your amygdala, the one that reacts to everything without thinking, we call it sometimes that when you constantly under a lot of stress and you cannot get out of this anxious and overwhelmed sensation, that your amygdala is hijacked. And this hijacked because of the sensory information that we're trying to process is just too overwhelming. Here is the question: how do we manage this? Well, first is the breath. So, nose breathing versus mouth breathing. And not just inhale, but also exhale through the nose, in and out. If that doesn't help, you probably all have a paper bag at home. You definitely heard about this, you definitely done it, you definitely seen it. All right. So bring in the paper bag. Mine is in the kitchen. I forgot to bring it in, but you can just see it. So bring in the paper bag, cover the mouth, cover the nose. So they both have to be inside the paper bag. And then you breathe in through your mouth into the paper bag and out to the paper bag for a few moments. Please do that seated. All right. So that again, to bring these two nervous system back in balance and bring the brain back to a balanced situation. So, or nose breathing, or paper bag breathing. And there is one more thing that can happen, because there are different parts of the brain are responsible for different actions. And sometimes the two parts of the brain gets out of balance. So we have to be able to rebalance the brain between the two parts of the brain. And if you have done yoga, you probably heard about the alternate nostril breathing. And that is the best way to create balance between the two hemispheres of the brain. So it can actually work together instead of one part of the brain being overreactive and the other part is being under functioning. So let's just do that for a few seconds in here. Nothing fancy, doesn't need to be holding the yoga nidras, really doesn't matter. Close your left nostril and breathe in through the right nostril. And if you do feel stuff, what you can do is you see the nasolabial fold in here. That's where your sinus is located inside. So with the inhale, when you inhale, you would pull the skin up and the muscle up. Close the right. Exhale it all on the left. Now breathe in through the left. If it feels sticky, close it. And so on. And you could definitely feel and hear my breathing. I do have a deviated septum, and they told me I have to have a surgery about 9 years ago. And, when they showed me the hammer that they're going to fix my nose with it, I just ran out of there and I said, forget it. And the good news is that practicing alternate nostril breathing and practicing taping the mouth, it actually created a little better gas exchange, even on the side where I do have the deviated septum. And when all else fails, and when you're a little stuffy, you probably heard about the neti pot. You just put some salt in there and some warm water, or if you don't want to use salt, just a little warm water. And over the sink, you clear your sinuses, you clear your nose. So that is a great way to do. A little bit of balancing, a little bit of, clearing the nose, clearing the windpipe. So we can rebalance the brain, not just between the two sides, but we can also rebalance the brain between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so I'd like to show you a couple of other things that I use when I feel that I'm really, really overwhelmed and I need to calm my brain down. First of all, this is a very, very expensive equipment. I got it on Amazon. It's called a Massage Frog Home Medics something, $7. So what it does, it has a little bit of vibration when you turn it on. It lights up too. I'm not sure why is that. So the part of the brain that helps us to calm down if we are healthy is actually a sense of vibration. And that goes back all the way to evolution and all the way being in the womb for 9 months. So there is different, that could be another lecture, but I'm not going there. So just by bringing that froggy up to the crown of the head and massaging the suture, because the skull has sutures, the skull is several bones. Between that, or just holding it on one spot, is right away is going to feel that you are grounded. Now, if you think that that vibration is too much for you, you can just kind of tap. I prefer the vibration. I'm going to turn around because I'd like to show you where else you can do this vibration to the back of your head. So bear with me for a moment. So you would find the middle of your head, and then you would go a little bit out to the side, come up from the base of the skull, and find the most bony part of the skull. And this is where I'm going to turn around right away so I can talk to you, but this is where I really can feel that sensation. And guess what lives there other than the brain? That area is one of the areas where a structure called the vagus nerve is closest to the skin. And the vagus nerve is responsible for maintaining the homeostasis in the body. From the brain, this nerve originates in the brain, where our at the old brain level, and it goes down and it infiltrates every single organ in the body. It communicates with the gut, it communicates with the kidneys, with the liver, with the spleen, with the adrenal glands, with everything, with the lungs, with the bronchioles. And it is a calm me down nerve. So whenever we get a chance to access the vagus nerve and create a little bit of increased sensation through that nerve, our sympathetic, the flight or fight, will go down, and our parasympathetic, the homeostasis part of the nervous system, will get engaged. So this is the area. The other area that is really, really accessible for the vagus nerve is your ear. So just watch my ear for a moment. So you're going to find this little area in here, not the hole. You're going to come up a little bit, and let's see if I can point there with something. Oh, that's too big. So maybe with a pen or a pencil without poking my ear. This little diagonal area, that is where your vagus nerve is the closest to the skin, another area. So what you could do is you could tap it gently. You could press the finger in there and draw some small circle. And why don't we do that? So close your mouth, try to breathe through the nose. Just notice what the sensation in your mouth right now is. Is it a dry mouth? Is it a, good, well salivated? And then start working. I'm going to stop talking. Let's do 10 circles in one direction and 10 circles the other direction. And I don't know what it did to you, but I can feel my voice just getting calmer. What I also felt is my salivary glands in my mouth started to create more saliva. And we do need to have enough saliva for dental health, for moisturing all the windpipe and the food pipe, and also for creating digestive hormones, digestive enzymes. Now, that's my side where I can do that. Let's look at the other side, because the two side of the two vagus nerve might not be working the same way. You might have a different effect. So again, find a little curl in your ear, and you could even close your eyes, but definitely close your mouth and give me 10 small circles in one direction with a little bit of a pressure. And even on this side, I'm feeling my heart rate dropping. I'm feeling my breath is calmer. And yes, I am feeling that I created some saliva. So let's say you're in the middle of a meeting and you are so stressed about a deadline, and there is no way that you can grab your frog and do this because people would think that you are crazy. You can always do that. Nobody has to know what you're doing. So that would be an interesting experiment for you guys to maybe look at your watch if you have an Apple Watch, or just check your heart rate. And then close your mouth, breathe through the nose, and work on your inner ear for a minute. And then check your heart rate again. All right? Okay, so that's another tip to bring this nervous system down and bring the nervous system back into balance. And as I mentioned earlier, all these sensations are, all these anxiety and overwhelming sensation, all this confusion is all an imbalance in the brain. So the more we can control, the more we can restore the balance, these sensations will go away quicker, or at least diminish, maybe for today, and then tomorrow morning you open the news again and it goes to hell. But you do have some tips how to work with these, and I have a couple of more, and I'm going to share a few more. So the other thing I find, and if you do want any of the links of any of the stuff that I'm showing you, just send me an email, put your email in there, or some kind of, just leave me a message on YouTube, and then I can send you the Amazon links. So this called pinhole glasses. And what is that going to do to us? It does a lot of different things. I'm not going to go into that because that's going to be, again, a 3-hour workshop. But what it also does, as soon as you put it on, of course, it's going to feel weird for a moment. And then it's going to start creating less rays, less light rays coming through the eyes and hitting the retina. So first of all, it's going to sharpen your vision. That is not the goal that I'm looking for right now. But it's also going to exclude some of the outside stimulus. And we mentioned earlier that the more stimulus we get in, our fight or flight response is going to increase. So this pinhole glasses could be a really, really great way to down-regulate the sympathetic nervous system and up-regulate the parasympathetic, which is your homeostasis, which is your balance. All right. So that's another tool that I usually use. Okay. And I'd like to say a couple of more things about our vision, because, and what we can do with the eyes, because obviously obviously to me, who has been studying the brain for 20 years, visual input is about 80% of all of sensory inputs. Vision connects to movement, connects to learning, connects to memory, connects to everything. And if our eyes are not working well and together, that could pose a huge stress or threat on the brain. And as I mentioned, when the brain is threatened, sympathetic drive goes up. Now, I know you all think that, yeah, I have 20/20, I'm good to go. No, 20/20 vision doesn't mean that you have 20/20 sight, doesn't mean that we have good vision. If you think about it, again, this is another 3-week lecture. If you think about it, when you have your eyes checked, you sit in a dark room, everything is dark, you're seated, you're not moving, and you're just looking at a chart that is 20 feet away from you. And that one test only gonna answer that one question. How well do I see 20 feet when I'm seated and there are no cars, there is no noise, there is no other people around me, maybe the doctor, hopefully. So you step outside, lights, neon, cars honking, people are running around, your cell phone is buzzing, your iPad is clinking, your laptop is purring, people calling your name, you need to keep walking, you need to keep driving. So a constant stimulus. Someone once told me that we get about, I am not a tech person, but they kind of phrase this way. In 1 minute, we get about 300 million 300 million kilobyte of information. If we just want to do computer language, I'm going to have to look this up because I'm not sure I said that right. Not kilobyte, whatever byte was that, bite me. So tons and tons and tons, that's the bottom line. And as I said, all of these info has to go up to the brain, and that one guy in there, the thalamus, has to decide in a timely manner, is this threatening or is it not threatening? Can I just discard it, or do I need to send it for further evaluation to the frontal lobe, to the smart part of the brain? And guess what? Although we do look through the eyes, our visual imaging is happening in the back of the head at the visual cortex, but that is directly pushes back the information throughout the brain into the frontal cortex, so we can make a decision on movement, coordination, balance, all of those. So everything is, again, 80% of the brain is connected to visual information. One more thing, we have 12 pair of cranial nerves that are on both sides of the brain, and 4 of them on each side is responsible for visual, for our visual abilities and our vision. So that is 1/3 of all of the nerves, and pretty much 80% of the whole brain is connected to what we see visually. So if we cannot stabilize our vision, our gaze, we cannot calm down the nervous system. Now, I do teach yoga, and people tell me, I want to meditate, but I can't. So the very first 2 things I'm asking them, can you breathe through your nose? Oh, yes, I can. I always do. So I tape their mouth for a minute, and then in 30 seconds, they just want to rip that tape off because they're so uncomfortable, because they never ever in their life breathe through their nose for more than maybe 2 breaths. Forget throughout the night or throughout the day. And the sensation was so threatening to the brain and so uncomfortable that they had to take the tape off. So you can't do that right away. You have to train yourself gradually how to breathe through the nose. And the other thing that I ask them to before they can actually meditate. Can you stabilize your gaze? First of all, people don't know what does that mean. What I mean by that is, can you hold a pen in front of you at an arm distance, look at the tip of the pen, and stare at it with both eyes so hard that if little somethings were falling all around you, or there is people around you, noise around you, you would still be able to keep your sharp gaze on that one spot. So after about 2 seconds, people's eyes go to the movement, to the light, to the noise. Think about a puppy, a very, very young puppy. Our brain is like that. You throw something to the puppy, something noisy, plays with it, but as soon as you pick up something, you didn't even have to throw it. That other thing already got the puppy's attention and they run to the new thing. Or toddlers. So this is what our brain looks like. And if we cannot keep the focus for at least a minute on one spot right in front of you sharply, meditation is not going to happen. Meditation and bringing the sympathetic nervous system down, that increased sympathetic drive, is not going to happen. So without being able to do that, those two things, we will not be able to create balance, not just a meditation requirement, but we will not be able to calm ourselves down when we need the most. So what I do with clients for gaze stabilization, I actually give them a homework. And this is what I ask for them. Imagine that there is a clock in front of you at arm distance. And first, I just need you to hold that pen where the middle of the clock is, about an arm distance in front of you, and set your timer, 30 seconds, stare at that. In the meantime, have your music loud as crazy, or have people around you yelling at you, or try to do this in a traffic. You just have to imagine a clock facing in front of you. Once you're done 30 seconds, without moving your head, take your gaze up to 12 o'clock. So you would lift the arm a little bit, you would lift the pen a little bit to 12 o'clock, and you would hold that for 30 seconds. And then you would go to 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. So those are 5 different gaze points, gaze stabilization. And when you get good with those 5, I would actually go through each number of that clock. Not just clockwise, counterclockwise. And yes, those are, 12 numbers. So maybe you just start with 4 of them, 5 of them, and you give 30 seconds. And try that again. So check your heart rate, and then try the exercise, and then recheck your heart rate. Heart rate should drop. And when the heart rate drops, that means that you just rebalanced, reset your brain and your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So I could keep going on for another 15 hours, but I hope that some of these information and tips were a little helpful. If you have questions, just write it down. If you don't, that's fine. Let me know what you think, and let me know if you want to know something specific, more specific about meditation or resetting, not just the body, but the brain. All right, I'm going to hang out here for a moment and see if any of you guys going to send me some text. If not, I'm just going to wish you a very nice evening. And if you want to do some exercise, just check out the videos on the YouTube channel, and I will talk to you soon. Bye now. Thank you.